Board Member Dina Flores.
Present.
Board Member Aaron Cimental.
Present.
Board Member Dolores Rivera.
Here.
Board Member Patrice Stanzioni.
Present.
Board Member Armando Barajas. Student Board Member Saraí Jaramillo. Superintendent Dr. Alejandro Alvarez.
Here.
Dr. Julie Harrison.
Here.
Marisela Barba.
Here.
Kamiko Lee Nolasco.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. My pen is not working. I can't get it to work. It's going to be bubble line. Okay, so moving along, may I get a motion to approve the agenda of the regular board meeting of December 10th?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. I'd like to move to amend the consent calendar under business services to remove item 210 and 211. This is relative to the modular concession stand and restroom project at Don Julian and Edgewood Academy. Said staff could come back with them next meeting with the correction to the design changes.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, so that being said, oh, I'm sorry.
That would be a motion, so a second.
Okay, can I get a second?
Seconded.
Okay,
Yes, amendment.
okay. So roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, coming back to this, can I get a motion to approve the agenda of the regular board meeting of December 10th with the amendment that we are removing consent calendar item number 11. I'm sorry, business services 210, 211,
210 and 211.
210 and 211. Okay, to the next board meeting.
Okay. So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion by board member Stanzioni, seconded by board member Cimental. Roll call?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that being said, we're good. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. This is my last word. Y'all thought I was gonna call one of you, right? You were ready, okay. Please stand.
Ready?
Stand, place your right hand over your heart.
Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey. Oh, that felt good. Moving right along. We are going to have a public hearing to sunshine the initial proposal of California School Employees Association, CSEA, Chapter 26.
Yeah.
Oh, can I get a motion to open the public, may I get a motion to open the public hearing to sunshine the initial proposal of the California School Employees Association, Chapter 26.
So moved.
Motion by Board Member Rivera, second.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Stanzioni. We will open. Roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. We will open the public hearing at 5:34. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on this? How's your weekend?
1 day weekend
One day weekend.
for some of us.
Okay, last chance to make a comment. Okay, that being said, can I get a motion to close the public hearing? So moved.
Seconded.
Motion by Board Member Rivera, seconded by Board Member Stanzioni. We close the public hearing at 5:35. Roll call?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, on to the next one. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing to sunshine the initial proposal of Bassett Unified School District?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion by Board Member Simenthal, seconded by Board Member Rivera. Okay, roll call?
Aye.
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 Aye. We open the public hearing to sunshine the initial proposal of Bassett Unified School District at 5:36. Okay.
Good. Good evening, board members, cabinet members, committee members, thank you. I would just like to, we will be sunshining our reopeners with CSEA. We're happy to get started with that. We do realize it is kind of late in our year, but if you remember last year, we did negotiate a full successor agreement. We spent a lot of work working on that language. So we're happy that this year we will only be bringing back our automatic reopeners, which are salaries and health and welfare benefits. And then we, last year, we had opened up Article 14 transfers. We kind of agreed collectively to table that because there were some legislative outcomes we were waiting to happen. So now that we have more direction on how to move forward with that language, we will only have 3 articles that we're negotiating this year. So we're looking forward to a collaborative year, hopefully one that we will end pretty quickly. Thank you.
Any questions?
Sorry.
Okay. Anybody else?
You close the public hearing?
If there's nobody else, then we can close the public hearing. Oh, okay. If there's nobody else, we will close the public hearing at 5:37. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Seconded.
Motion by Board Member Rivera, seconded by Board Member Stanzioni. Roll call?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Moving right along, staff presentation recognition.
Looking for a microphone, but
Hmm.
there's none. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was looking for- Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Board of Education, as you recall, sometime in April of last year, the board approved a contract with Total School Solutions to look at to do a transportation study to review our current transportation program, how it's being operated, and maybe make some recommendations based on that study. Today we have Joseph Pandolfo from Total School Solutions to present the report to the board and answer any questions you may have.
Evening, pleasure to be here. As Alex said, I'm Joe Pandolfo. I'm Executive Vice President of Total School Solutions. And we're a full-service school consulting firm, work all the way from the Oregon border, all the way down in Southern California, everywhere in between. We're a full-service firm, which means we do a lot of things, but one of our specialties is operational studies, which is this more or less is. So we'll take a look at like a department such as food service or business services or human resources. We'll go through and essentially go through the department, find out what's working well, what's maybe some of the challenges, and really look at some best practices. So that's what we did here. Do I have a slide? Okay, good. So the scope of work, essentially, just to boil all this down, because I know there's a lot in the report, and you should have the report, and my objective tonight is just kind of give you the main ideas of the report. But if you look at the scope of work, essentially, like I mentioned, we're looking at the department and looking at, is everything, as far as we can tell, legally compliant? Are we following best practices in what the district does? And so we went through, we go through a lot of paperwork. We go, and more importantly, we talk through staff interviews, because the staff really knows what's going on, and we get a lot of different perspectives on what people believe is happening in ways that can be improved. So we went through all of this and came up with a report that basically goes through everything that we found that we thought was a challenge, and some suggestions on how you might take next steps into improving the transportation situation. So some of the notable points, and the first thing I believe would be important to understand is home to school transportation for regular education is not required by education code. So actually the district doesn't have to provide any home to school transportation. It's really the district's option. The board policy says that the district and the superintendent provide transportation basically as they see fit. And then it goes through to talk about parameters in which the district will provide transportation. And that's in what's called the AR, the administrative regulation. And the administrative regulation is generally, it's basically some refinement of the board policy. The board policy is very broad. The AR gives the administration specifics. So if you look at that, you know, in terms of, and of course, I need to mention there's some transportation required, like if it's in the student's IEP, that has to be done. So that's mandatory. And also for homeless students, that's also mandatory to transport them. So some of it is mandatory, but the regular homeless school is not. So the district, we looked at this, the district, of course, is following the state regulations and doing what they need to do for that. But it doesn't look as though the district is actually following its own administrative regulations in providing transportation. It's going beyond that. And I think I think if there was a theme from what I was seeing, what our team was seeing in the report, is the district looks like it's trying to do too much with too little. So it's got limited resources, it's got a limited staff, and it's trying to do a lot. And it's kind of grown to stuff it's really a challenge for it to handle. The other thing too is like I mentioned, the revenue provided by the state. The state of California is really good at providing money for programs. They're not very good at providing enough money for programs. So they'll say, hey, we encourage you to do this, but you know, they don't fully fund it. So you're kind of left trying to figure out how to fund it. Transportation is notoriously one of those programs that, you know, it'd be great to run a gold standard transportation department, but the state's not going to fund it. And typically, when the district has to pay for that through a contribution to transportation, it's taking money from other sources to do that. So that, you know, you have a general fund. And so the general fund, of course, is paying for teacher raises and for books and for all the educational requirements of the district. And as if transportation takes more than what the state is allowing, there's less for that. So that's something to keep in mind too. There's also, you know, some of the things we know too, like there's special education is required if it's on the IEP. The district doesn't seem to have a process to really thoroughly check that every year to make sure the students being transported are required on the IEP. They're not supposed to if it's not in the IEP. So that's just, you know, and that will come up in our recommendations, but the IEPs are, if it's in the IEP, individual education plan, it has to be, the student has to be transported. But sometimes the student's disability really has nothing to do with transportation per se. So there's no reason, if the student like is capable of walking across the street and lives walking across the street from the school, obviously, then you don't need to provide transportation. So those are the discussions that happen during the IEP meetings. And so it should only be students who are required for the IEPs. The other thing too is the district must and is required to transport homeless students, but they don't necessarily have to burden the whole cost of that. So it didn't seem like there was a dialogue with neighboring districts about, hey, maybe there could be some splitting of costs. In fact, it's you know, basically the ed code says if you don't come to an agreement, this cost should be split. So in some cases, the district may be able to transport, or maybe the other district can transport, or maybe they can help fund your transportation. So that's going to be another recommendation too. So if you look at the current operations financially on this slide, you can see it looks like a mountain that is growing, which is, you know, not a great thing. I was told too that there may have been some coding issues that contributed to this, you know, really high increase. So it may not all be the expenses increasing. They may have been miscoded to somewhere and then they were moved over, but it's still a big number. Keeping in mind too that the district geographically isn't that large. It's, you know, 3.3 or something square miles. So it's not, and we're going to take a look at some maps too, but it's not a huge area to transport. So it's a pretty big number that the district's paying. And the way the transportation funding used to work, it used to be a categorical by itself, and it used to be like in a little silo. Now it's rolled into the LCFF calculation. But a certain amount of that has to be spent on transportation. So, and that's around 400,000 for the district, I believe. Okay, so other things that we noted were, you know, this district, and this is very common for smaller districts. You have a maintenance, operation, and transportation director. I interacted with him. You know, it seems like he's a fantastic person and doing really a strong job when it comes to maintenance operations. He didn't come in the district with a lot of transportation experience, which is, you know, more or less expected. But the challenge with that is you're almost like asking like somebody to be a brain surgeon and also to be a heart surgeon. You know what I mean? It's two totally different things. So it's not really reasonable to for a maintenance operations director to be a transportation expert to begin with. So he's developing, and so I think that's just something that the district has to keep in mind, that the transportation director is developing and does need support to be able to really run the department, because transportation is probably arguably the most difficult department in this district to run. It's got a lot of moving parts, literally. It's got a lot of, the drivers have to be managed, the routes have to run on time. If there's a problem, it could be a big problem. And really, it's one of the kind of life or death departments in the district. I mean, it's really, people have to be on. I always, when I supervised transportation, I said, there's no room for mistakes in this. You have to be perfect every day. So it is a pretty complicated department. The district doesn't have a driver trainer, and they outsource for that. And the driver trainers needed because the drivers, just like everybody else, need professional development to keep on top of their skills and actually state requirements too. And two, we felt like maybe the district may need more assistance from this contractor to improve the district the overall performance. The bus drivers, when we did this study, had set to cover 17 routes with 5 drivers, which is quite significant. I mean, that's a lot of routes to cover. And then there's also this split shift, which the way it was described to us, when the drivers finish their route, they wait until the split shift is over before they can start a field trip, which can delay the field trip or basically has a district maybe outsource the field trip to get it done. So we just want to make a note of that. We did see that, and that did catch our attention because it's not you want to really serve the kids obviously and get those field trips out as soon as you can. The district, and this may have changed because we did start the study a few months ago. At the time, they didn't have software that really was doing the routing, and that can be a problem because the software is much more efficient and automatically makes the efficient routes. Where if you're trying to do this manually with Google, Google Earth or whatever, it can cause some problems. The routes, and they were created by Google Maps apparently, and so that can cause some inefficiencies. And also the routes weren't every route sheet should be turn by turn all the way down the sheet. So it's very specific what it is. And the district really didn't have that too. So it made it a little more difficult to review those route sheets too for efficiency because they weren't all spelled out. So district complies with bell schedules. It'd be great if the principals would review those changes together with the MOT director. That hasn't been happening. It's more of a nuance and best practice. And then suppose what was reported to us is sometimes the drivers are changing the route sheets as needed, and there needs to be more of a process for that to make sure that the district is aware of if a route sheet gets changed. It should be coming from the district office and go through a process to make sure that that's first off whatever change is made is required. So here's some recommendations. We would recommend that you verify the student eligibility of everyone riding the bus to make sure that they actually qualify for transportation. Because it seems like there's likely a lot of students who don't actually qualify for the service and it's being provided to. And when we look at some maps, it may make a little more sense to why that would be important to look at. Also, the special ed, the same thing. Just go through the list and make sure all the students that are being transported for special ed, which can be quite expensive, are also required on their IEP. There was a safety plan that was missing that's required, so also that has to be updated. And that can be actually done pretty quickly, but that's required by law. When a route assignments are coming in, right now the lead driver is doing that, it was our understanding. And it's not the best practice really. That should really be done by someone else, not a driver. So we would recommend moving that task to another person, maybe either dispatch or someone in the office. The routing software, obviously that's another recommendation of ours. And then the review and modify the routes to ensure efficiency with the detailed sheets. So once the detailed sheets are down, then you can look at the route sheets to pick up efficiency. And really what you want to do is, have as few stops as possible. That will speed up the route. So if you can pick up more students at one stop, obviously that's what your end game is with that. So the high school, and it seems in conversation, like during the pandemic, the high school transportation may have enlarged to include more students during COVID. So I think that needs to be revisited, or we think it is to our team. And just, go back to where the students were eligible for the transportation, because it's, the problem is you're just not big enough to do this, and it is very expensive, big enough to provide transportation, maybe as many high school students as you are. Also, we recommend, like I mentioned before, increasing the outsourced driver training, so that to improve the effectiveness of the department. And the bell schedules I mentioned. The field trip start times, we think a conversation needs to happen about when the driver can start that field trip, because it seems like it would be in everyone's interest for the district, for the students to start those field trips right as soon as the driver can after the route is finished and move on. So I think that's a conversation that should happen between CSEA and the district. We think the MOT director needs some coaching and support, to help him develop his skills so he can be even a better MOT director. And then, the annual meetings, and that's another good practice to set goals. That's just a best practice. So the next section I'm going to show you is just a walking distance analysis. So what we did is we took the schools in your district and we took your AR, your administrative regulation, and looked at what the walking distance requirements were for each school by grade level. So here's a map of the district, and the yellow rectangles or rectangle-ish shapes are the elementary schools. The orange is 3/4 of a mile walking distance, and then the green is a mile walking distance. So that, this and actually some of that distance actually ends up outside the district boundaries. So there's not a lot of the district that for the elementary schools is not within walking distance to a school. Typically too, if a school like, if a student lives in an elementary school, but the family decides to attend a different elementary school, most districts will not provide transportation because there's a walking option to the district. It seemed like what was happening was the district was transporting students from one elementary boundary to another. That's another thing that's just, kind of stressing the department, putting more drivers, more stress on the drivers to pick up all the students. So that's part of like this analysis when it's looking at it. Are these students eligible? That also means, if they're attending a school outside their boundary, is the district transporting them. So that's the elementary. This is the middle school with the green walking distance around the middle school. So you can see most of the distance, most of the middle school is within walking distance. Although this one does have some, some people who are outside that distance from the northeast and the northwest. And then we have the middle school, and all the walking area was determined by the AR, and that's so that the green, I think the high school, I think, was a 2-mile radius. So that's a 2-mile walking radius around that school. So it's practically, for home to school transportation, there's practically nobody who would qualify in the district for that. A lot of districts too, because those students are older and in urban areas, it's not unusual for the district to encourage them to use public transportation, which is, already there and actually kind of a greener solution too, because those buses are running. So a lot of districts do that. So that's a summary of the report we gave. And it was the district staff is great to work with. They were very helpful and forthcoming with information. And I think there's some things that could change if the district would like to improve the efficiency of the department and improve the operations of the department they can make and take the next step if the board wishes.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam
Member
President.
Pimentel?
Thank you very much for the presentation. A few questions. The first thing I had that just piqued my interest and I took a quick note was regarding the rising costs of the transportation operation here. One thing you mentioned very quickly was there potentially could be a coding issue as to why it's kind of going up. Obviously, could you elaborate more on what that might be?
Yeah, so the district, there's this code that you've probably seen that's pretty complicated. And part of this code,
The budget string.
the budget string, right? Yeah. So the accounting, sometimes called account code budget string. Anyway, there's a certain number, function 3600. So if the transportation expense that doesn't have to do with field trips or that's like home to school or special ed, that's in function 3,600. If it was getting charged somewhere else in the budget, then it's not getting captured in that transportation expenses, it's somewhere else. And so what happened was, your CBO probably caught, and I'm guessing, caught that error and went and had it corrected. And then when it corrected it, it jumped the expenses.
Thank you for that. And regarding the potential outsourcing of a driver trainer and then any potential coaching for the director, what does that look like? Like, how long would we have either those positions or those individuals on our team? What does that look like, I guess, practically with them here?
Yeah, I think the driver trainer, I think is, it's a collaboration between the superintendent, the maintenance, MOT director to find out what the needs are and to come up with a plan that way. So it really kind of depends on what the input is from that. With the director, I like to think of that training more like scaffolding, like a lot of times, like when we are brought in to coach someone, if we basically try to work ourselves out of a job. So you put in the scaffolding and then you take, as the person grows, you take the scaffolding down. So, you may start meeting, a couple days a week, and then, just kind of wind it down as time goes on.
Okay. Thank you for that. Last two things I had were actually maybe for staff, and maybe for the superintendent. Is there any potential tentative timeline regarding potential implementation of these recommendations that could be brought back to the board?
Yes, Madam President, if I may, so looking at the recommendations and going through it with our team, what I would do as a superintendent is work with my team to come up with a plan of action and then come back to the board. I would recommend any changes we make would be implemented for the next school year, 25-26, because if we're looking at the recommendation is to follow our administrative regulation. Let's just say high school, for example, 2 miles, which would be almost no high school kid would get busing. Then, it's gonna take a lot of communicating with parents and students who are already on the bus, saying, hey, starting 25-26, the board's gonna be following its regulations. And so we want to start that communication early. So any of these changes would be coming for the 25-26 school year as the team goes through it, makes recommendations and come forward to the board.
On that, and I could obviously convey this to you again, but 2 points I'd like to see is one, when we saw the graphic with the elementary schools, but the middle school was only torch and we didn't get to see the eligibility between Don Julian and Edgewood with those middle school grades. So in the implementation process, if we could just be mindful of the middle school aspect of it. And also, I would personally like to see if once we implement this plan, if there's any impact to attendance or tardiness as a result. I think that would be the one most important thing for me. But other than that, thank you again for the presentation. I hope, however, we could build a more efficient district for our students. It's done collaboratively with our, our administrative team, with CSCA. So just hoping this is the start of something new. I'm good.
And I just do want to point on this particular map for the elementary schools. You see the orange is the 3/4 mile for our TK through I think it's 3rd grade maybe. And then the green would be the 6th or the 4th through 8th graders at those 8 schools.
Thank you, Madam President.
Anybody else? I do have one, the cost, going back to the financial aspect of it, 389, more than doubled. If you said something could be attributed to the recoding of certain expenses, but also from 2019 to 2024, we do know that the gas prices have gone up significantly. Did that take into consideration? Did we look at how much we were using?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in the state got hit with that, and that's also part of the increased cost. It wasn't all increased usage. But I think what we garnered from the staff was it sounded like during the pandemic that services did expand. So I think that was part of what we saw in terms of that cost increase. It was partially the fuel, but the fuel's part of the budget, but not all the budget. So.
Yeah.
And if I may add, we did go, when I first got here, I think we only had 3 bus drivers, and it took us a while to fill that 4th and 5th, another year or 2. So I think that part of that on cost and then if, I don't know, if the purchase of a bus would count as cost associated, maybe not depending how it's
I don't
coded,
think it's coded.
one-time cost, but.
Yeah, I don't think the bus would be coded
Okay.
necessarily.
So also, but also in looking at that, thank you, Dr. Alvarez, and also in looking at that, we did recently purchase a new bus, right? So that being said, when you have an older vehicle, it kind of requires more maintenance and things. So the
Sure.
maintenance is also going into this. So that is
Yeah.
really good. Okay, so taking all that into consideration, because wow, this is like more than doubled since 2019.
Yeah,
The other thing I'm looking at, and it was kind of mentioned, I'm really concerned about a 2-mile radius because that's a lot for, I mean, I don't know, but that's a lot for a student to walk and a lot can happen in 2 miles. Okay, so I mean, hopefully we can find
Yeah.
another way around that. I mean, we're all about student safety, so. All right.
yeah, I understand that, and the board does get to set that AR, at whatever limit they do. It's just currently that's what it is, that's why we showed it. And I should mention too, and I supervised transportation for many years, and bus drivers are generally heroes. I mean, they're really, really difficult job. I mean, imagine if you were asked to, supervise 60 students in a classroom, you would think that was crazy. And these guys are driving a bus and gals are driving a bus and supervising, more than that sometimes. So it's quite a difficult job. And they're generally in the districts I see, they're very dedicated people and should be appreciated for that.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you so much. It was quite comprehensive. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here we go. In the sun. It's in the heat,
I'm
yes.
a crisis.
2 miles in the snow is a lot, heat, I'm sorry. Okay, so moving right along to the first interim presentation.
Thank you. Board President, I'd like to ask Ms. Barba to come in and present the first interim 2024 budget report.
Good evening, board presidents, board members, superintendent, cabinet, and community. We're very happy to present the 2024-25 first interim budget report. I like to say this report, we have, I'm gonna say it's good news. We don't have many changes. It's almost the same as the adopted budget report. There's some minor changes that will be showing to you. Let me see. Yeah, no worries. Oh. So we have the agenda and the agenda is including the budget cycle as usual. The budget certifications, revenue assumptions, expenditure assumptions, the general fund changes that happened from the adopted budget to this first interim. The general fund unrestricted, the display of the general fund restricted and both. Restricted and unrestricted. So we're here in the budget cycle. As you see, we start with the adopted budget on top back in July. Then we go to the next step, which is a revised adopted budget. That's if we have substantial or material changes based on the state adopted budget. So this year we did not have any, so we didn't make any adjustments. So then we jump to the first interim, which is presented and is to be submitted to the county by December 15th. And then from there, we're gonna go in January, which is next month, we're going to see what the governor will present for the state budget for next year, 2025-26. So we are very excited about it. We're nervous also with, I hope that we get positive information. And from there, once we receive that information, then we're gonna finalize the second interim and we'll start the budget report for 2025-26 next year with that, all that information. And so preliminary report for next year will be started by April. And then from there, we'll go to the main revision, which the governor will present any changes that he's proposing from the initial budget report that he presents in January. And from there, then the adopted budget is presented for the next fiscal year, 2025-26. And to be approved in June, we'll have two presentations, two board meetings for that, the public hearing and the adopted budget, the final report. So the district is very happy and proud to share with the board that the district is presenting once more a positive budget certification, which means that district is meeting their financial obligations for the current and the two subsequent years. And we'll show you the slides that follow the position of the district, the financial position of the district. So with that, we have the revenue assumptions, 24-25. It's again, as we mentioned, it's almost the same. The statutory COLA, 107 this year. Next year is 2.93. 2027 is 3.08. And if the state, the governor presents a different COLA percentages, then those will be adjusted and be presented in the second interim. The enrollment is, we're really proud to say that the enrollment projection and the actual enrollment count for this year on October 6th. So October 6th enrollment count is the official number the state takes into consideration to fund the district. So we projected 2793 and the actual enrollment was 2794. It's only one student difference. That was amazing. I'm very proud of the team. And so, and we're hoping that all projections continue the same. The district has projected a 2.2% decrease in enrollment from year to year, but hopefully that we can improve that and get less percentage, meaning more students enrolled. The unduplicated pupil percentage continues to be 91%. And we received the last count for the unduplicated pupil percentage, which is official now, it's 91%. The P2 ADA has been computed based on the actual percentage that we received last year, 92.6% from enrollment. So again, also that number, we hope that we improve it, that we better this, and that we increase the percentage of the attendance of our students. And the funded P288 is a 3-year average that the state is still supporting the districts, so that we can see that the funded ADA is still greater than the actual attendance of the district. The revenue assumptions also include challenges that include in the revenue, maybe the student enrollment again, decline in enrollment. Because of that, then the student attendance decreases. the unduplicate pupil percentage, so hopefully we continue having this 91%, then unduplicate pupil percentage includes low income students, English learners, and foster students. And other challenges would be in the expenditures. The first three may impact the revenue. The following five impact the expenditures. And these five include employee salary, fringe benefits that can be impacted by bargaining negotiations, salary increases, and that can also be in the special education, general fund contribution, and services that are required by law to be provided to our students that may increase costs to the district. Retirement rates, if they change higher, that is most of the time the case, but lately, actually, last year, we saw some kind of decrease in the percentage of the PERS retirement percentage. The health and welfare benefits it's also based on negotiations with the bargaining units. If the cap is changed, then that would impact an increase in expenditure. And supplying services, the purchasing power, as we mentioned earlier, everything is going up. It's quite expensive, so it brings big challenges in terms of budget. This is the graph of student enrollment and the average daily attendance. You can see the changes that are across these 8 years from fiscal year 18-19 to fiscal year 26-27, having actuals as of fiscal year 23-24. So from 18-19 to 23-24, we have lost 675 students and projected to fiscal year 26-27, the district total lost students will be 800. So hopefully that we can continue bearing these numbers and have a higher enrollment. The last 4 years, you can see the ADA ratio is 92.6, and it's again based on last year's actual percentage of attendance versus the enrollment. So we are projecting to have the same at least, but hopefully we can do better because we see in 18-19, the student attendance was 95.27%. So hopefully that we can have a higher percentage this year. This is a breakdown of the local control funding formula. As you can see, the base is flat amount of 30 million. That supplemental concentration is also kind of a flat of 12.6 million. The add-in is also the same flat for all 3 years. And it gives us a total of 43.61 for 24-25, 43,042,000 for 25-26, and 44.15 for 26-27. Again, it's important to say that the 30 million for base is to cover most of employee salaries. So it leaves very little room for supplies, services, and other needs. Currently, now I'll show you a graph that we have done in this presentation where it shows you the 80% in salaries cost. Okay, so this is expenditure assumptions. These are the assumptions that we use. For step and column, 1.4%. Step and column for classified is 1.1. The stairs is same 19.1. They haven't changed the percentage curves. 27.05 for current year. You can see a slight increase 27.6 for 25-26, and 26.7 is 28%. So we'll see hopefully that they stay the same or decreasing
in next month's state budget presentation. Excuse me, next year.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. The workers' compensation continues to be flat, 2.2% estimate. The special education and transportation, of course, the general fund contribution is as needed. And the routine restriction maintenance account, we do the 3% as required by law, unless it's needed otherwise, but so far it's been with the 3%. One big challenge that the district has is the structural deficit spending, and then we'll show you the budget report in the next slide. So what is this? The structural deficit spending is that the district is presenting an overspending in all 3 fiscal years, current year and the 2 odd years. And so what are the required actions that may take place and that will take place? So that's, of course, looking into the personnel cost management, short-term and long-term, how the district looks ways to balance the budget, to reduce or eliminate the deficit spending, and what are the areas that we need to look into. Opportunities to maybe transfer personnel from the unrestricted to the restricted programs. Is there a way that we have the resources? Of course, these transfers need to be, we need to take in consideration that they must be allowable by the program, that the staff is qualified for the requirements of this program. It's a lot of requirements and detail that needs to be looked into. And the reduction of expenditures, see if there are any areas that the district can maybe reduce in supply services, opportunities that can happen. But I believe that the district has funded these efforts is very, very, very tight. The community fund balances as other commitments for reasons of stabilization purpose is a must. So we have the multi-year projections. We have here the unrestricted general fund position that you can tell that there are 2 lines, the red color, the first one, and the A section is the other financing sources, meaning that's the general fund contribution. The general fund contribution increased from the adopted budget to the first interim because there's some tuition costs that of services that SELPA is providing to some of our students. And I'll show you the information in the next slide. So that is one. The rest is the revenue is the same as the adopted budget. The certificate and the expenditure section B increased a little bit, and then that is because of we budgeted a big amount of the supplemental concentration carryover. So it was increased in the expenditure section. We have in red is the indirect cost, which is a good thing for the unrestricted portion of the district, which is charges that are done to the categorical programs and even to the same supplemental concentration program. The fund balance is something critical that we need to look into because you see in the section B, the fund balance begins with almost 26 million in current year, and then it ends at 14.7 in the fiscal year 26-27. So it's about 12 million. 26, 15, yeah, almost 12 million less in the 3 years. Why? It's because of the deficit spending. Look at the section C. So we're having 6 million deficit spending per year, but that includes 2.4 million that is remaining for the HVAC project. is 2.4, and you can see it in the number 6 of section B. That's the capital outlay. That's the amount that is remaining for the HVAC project, but everything else is expenditures. So then, but look at 25, 26, and 26, 27. It's 3 million and 2.3 million. So that's the overspending. That's critical. So the district is looking into it's developing plans and strategies to eliminate this deficit. This is a graph of the expenditures. You can tell right here in the green, the 2 green and the light blue. Those are the 3 salary portions, which account for 80% of the budget. Leaving 20% for supply services and capital outlay. This is a thing where you have the unrestricted general fund, but in millions, so that you can see the simple numbers there. Again, we have the general fund contribution that shows you is 7.5 across the 3 years. The deficit spending 6 million, 2.9, which is almost 3, and 2.3. And at the bottom, the fund balance, the last 3 rows, show you again 25.9 beginning fund balance, ending, and the 3rd year 14.7. So that in these numbers are still no negotiations are included, no projections of salary increases. Nothing like that has been included except salaries and everything that is projected to be expended. The unrestricted and restricted general fund together. So we have the revenue current year is about 54 million. Expenditures is 63. So you say, okay, here, because it's the restricted and unrestricted. So of course, because spending is greater, it's 9 million, but we have some of the programs that are included in the restricted programs. Includes the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant and the arts music programs that are budgeted there. So that's why the spending looks much greater, but the fund balance was there. And this is a pie that shows you also based on all restricted and unrestricted portions of the budget percentages. And you can see that this chart shows a little bit lower percentage of salaries, but it's because the categorical programs. And this is the restricted portion of the budget review. These are the changes that happen from adopted budget to personnel. You can see the revenue portion, the upper section, the changes are minimum, and that is only the carryover of the programs from prior year, including Title 1, 2, 3, ACES, and some additional funds that came from donations, but it's not a lot. It's just carryover from prior years. And you can see the budget and expenditures is substantial, but it's because of the supplemental concentration carryover and the 2 category programs that I just mentioned. This revenue budget changes, you can tell that it's almost the same, not much change. And this is the expenditure changes. Again, Most of it is the categorical, most of it is carryover. This is the fund balance detail. So we say, okay, what is using the fund balance? What includes in the fund balance? Well, we start with the beginning balance and then we go down to the non-spendable. The non-spendable is the revolving fund, 30,000, and then this 6,892 is prepaid insurance. I'm sorry, prepaid expenditures. We have a reserve for economic uncertainties at 3%. That's 1.9 million for current year. Additional reserve 7%. That as was approved by the board. We have litigations that we are committing a couple of millions to cover these litigations, and the rest is to cover the spending of up years and any potential additional expenditures that may come in. And you can see again the other 2 years, and at the end, of course, it's a balance to end 14.7 million at the end of 26-27, if things go the same. Once we see the state government budget report, we'll see what news it brings to the district. So we have next steps. So we continue to maintaining a balanced budget, positive certification. The district is working on improving the student enrollment and attendance. We look forward to the state budget proposal next month. Working hard on eliminating the structural deficit spending, the statutory goal percentage, which is a big deal for all districts. And then the compilation of the data and building the second interim budget report to be presented to the board by March 15th. And bargaining negotiation settlement coming up. And that's the 15th page.
Any questions?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for this routine presentation. It feels like just like almost very similar every time we get it. Some points I wanted to ask, kind of going, well, in the next step, the last slide we have, it really to me that seemed what's in our control as a district and as a board is, I guess maybe improve student enrollment, but that's kind of hard. But eliminate the structural deficit spending. And thank you for, I forget what slide it is, I'm writing to it, but what LACO had defined under the guidance between deficit spending versus structural deficit spending and where that went, where all 3 years are overspending. And then below that, this is I have slide 12 of 25. The required actions is implement a fiscal stabilization plan, and then the points under that would be personnel cost management, reduction in expenses, and then commit ending balances as quote unquote other commitments. So when would, I guess, if we needed to move forward with the fiscal stabilization plan, what did that look like in terms of the timeline to doing that here?
You know that the district is not required to actually provide a fiscal stabilization plan because the district is showing a balanced budget. Even though the district is experiencing structural deficit spending, it is a concern because if it continues, if nothing is done to eliminate, decrease the deficit spending, then every year it keeps going and keeps increasing. So if, let's say that the revenue is decreased because of less COLA offered by the state or changes that they make, but then our expenditures, they keep increasing. They don't get reduced. So then our fund balance keeps getting eaten, right? The district's fund balance. So they require a fiscal stabilization report when they see that the district is not meeting its liabilities in 1 year or two, meaning the district has to present a budget reductions. Then they say, okay, you need to present to me a fiscal stabilization plan and tell me how you're gonna balance the budget. Well, you have fund balance to cover that's the spending. They don't really is required, but they do talk about it. They do highly recommend for the district to develop one. Needless to say, the district is working on one. The district is looking very in detail for a long-term, short-term, how the district is going to maintain a balanced budget. It's one of the biggest priorities of the district.
In terms of practicality or technicality, basically my question is, how is it that we can be certified as positive, but still have that structural deficit spending designation? Like, how can it both be true that we are overspending for 3 years, but we're still not going to the red?
Because of the fund balance that is covered this deficit spending, we are still meeting the requirements. The district is still meeting the requirements. You have the 3% required fund balance by law. So you show it every single year, even though you have a deficit spending, of course. Again, that having this deficit spending is not a position the district wants to be. The district is working very hard on developing strategies and looking into all the programs, all the positions, all the schools, all the course, the staffing needs to be looked into because the supplies and services is being minimized, it's being reduced to its minimum. It cannot be reduced more because, there are things that have to be paid. Utilities, supplies, contracts, things that have to be paid year after year. So now we need to look into where is the, of course, the greater source of expenditures, the staffing. So the district is looking into that, and I'm sure that information is coming soon on where the areas that the district is going to do balance already in the district. But it's working very hard on this.
The last point, maybe, I don't know if we can incorporate this in the second interim and moving forward just with all the reports that we get relative to the budget. But I know the district, instead of just having the basic 3%, it has the 10% reserve that we strive for. Could we get those projections, I guess, when we would if we were ever to go under that 10% reserve amount, could that also be included in future reports, just so we're aware what year that may or may not happen?
If I may, I think what would be good for, based on your request, is if we did not, if the district did nothing, how long could we survive this way, going out to whether it be 30, 31, 31, 32? How long can the district sustain without taking any action to reduce expenditures based on what we know today? And then when we would tap into this extra 7%, and then when we would, I'd say, dwindle down to just the 3% reserve and nothing above and beyond that. Is that something that?
I think that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
But then that's why, the district wants to not be there.
Correct.
And that's why the district is looking at the short-term financial position, long-term financial position, and the trends, and we do all kinds of projections beyond the multi-year projections because we want to see how it will look like in the following years.
And I understand that. The point of asking is just for, the public's sake of being transparent. We all understand we're getting the same information that we're getting there. We're getting to a point we don't want to get to.
No, it is the district's goal to maintain a positive financial position for the district.
And just to add on that, as your request, I think it's good that we, as a district, look at it now, because every year you wait, it's twice the cuts later, twice the reductions in your expenditures. So the sooner you address it, obviously, the less you have to reduce each year after that.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Anybody else have questions?
No, I just want to thank you for the report.
Okay,
Very
I do,
thorough. Thank
I
you.
do have a question. So you're saying that at this time, the district does not need to implement a fiscal statement? The district does not need to implement a fiscal stabilization plan, but you see that you have a declining enrollment. You know that the revenue is decreasing, although we do see that some of the expenses are, such as you mentioned, the HVAC. Wouldn't it be more fiscally responsible to start planning for fiscal stabilization? I mean, do you want to wait till the third year to say, okay, we need to come up with something? So I'm just concerned when you say we don't need to have it. And yet I see the slide here says Lakeland guidance, required actions, implement.
What my communication is that the county is not requiring the fiscal stabilization plan, but internally, the district is.
Okay, so internally, the
developing one.
district is
The
doing it.
district is developing a fiscal stabilization plan, is identifying, looking at all the operations, all departments, school positions, everything to see how the district is going to make adjustments so that the deficit spending gets reduced or eliminated. But internally, that the fiscal stabilization plan is work in progress.
Okay,
Now, we don't have to present it to Lake, because it's not required at this point, but definitely it is something that, we'll do.
okay. So my colleague also mentioned, yes, when we strive for that 10%, I'm looking at the fund balance detail, the unrestricted on the second to the last slide. We're starting with the beginning balance of 25 million.
Yeah.
25 million,
Mhm.
and we're ending at the end with 14.7. That's about $11 million difference. Okay, so I mean, a lot of activity in those 3 years. So are you saying that we're still gonna be okay?
Yes.
It's 11 million. okay?
As of 26, 27, the way it is, yes, we are still okay. And what happens is in the 24, 25, notice is 6 million overspending, but it's because 2.4 is for the HVAC program, which is for one time only. And then there was a $3.5 million carryover for the supplemental concentration. So in the two out years, we don't have those. So we have presenting what the district's going to receive, salaries that are expenditure there say that are in a normal course of a year, but in current year, we need to include the carryover in the budget portion, so to take it out of the fund balance. Because it needs to be spent in the services that have been approved by the board.
One of my final question, small dollars, but I see a 23, what is it? 23,000 difference in the capital outlay between the unrestricted general fund and then the restricted general fund and capital outlay. What is that? And you
The
have it
capital
on the
outlay is
restricted.
the 2465, so this is the HVAC project, for the HVAC
Right,
project,
right, I am.
2441, and the other, the small amount, I don't recall what it is, it's what like is
23,000.
Or it's like, yeah, I can get you that information later.
Small dollars, but
It's
just the difference,
probably
wanna see what it
we're buying
looks.
some Equipment for the restricted, but I can't recall what it is. It's at a, I don't know, but I don't, but I will get back with you with. Thank you.
Thank you for the report.
It's,
Thank you so much.
it's in the restricted program. So we'll do it back to it.
Yeah, restricted, but I want to see where it was. What was the small dollars? Okay. So, I lost my place here on the agenda. So, okay, moving right along. Student board representative report.
So, evangelical teachers and scholars are hard at work. We continue working on our school-wide monthly writing genre. We've been focusing on reading and math skills as we continue to implement our attendance initiative and reward classes with perfect attendance. This month, we are getting ready for our iReady diagnostics and our Christmas boutique on December 13th. We hope you can come out and join us. There are many great things happening at Van Wyck, and our Van Wyck scholars are being prepared for college and career. As we approach the holiday season, here at Edgewood Academy, our brave knights are hard at work. Our students and staff transition smoothly back to school from the Thanksgiving break, and are getting ready for iReady and benchmark testing. We look forward to seeing the progress made from the beginning of the year. Our football and volleyball teams wrapped up their season this weekend with the LA 84 tournament. Basketball is ready for our Knights, and they're excited to get on the court. The Edgewood Academy Winter Concert is held on Thursday at 6 p.m. The students have been rehearsing for the concert and are ready to show off their talents. Come support the Knights. ASB is finalizing details for a cookout night at Raising Cane's. Help support Edgewood ASB. Our student leaders also planned a week of winter fun with dress-up days on the last week of school before winter break. Lastly, to boost attendance, we have a perfect attendance challenge throughout the school year. The most recent was the week leading into Thanksgiving break, having 366 of 478 students, or 77%, with perfect attendance. This means they were present on time and at school all day. These students earned a treat for their perfect attendance. Another attendance challenge is coming soon. On behalf of the teachers and staff at Edgewood, we wish everyone a happy holiday season. In Don Julian, the month of November, we participated in a canned food drive for needed families in the area. We reached our 76th day of school and had 242 lines with perfect attendance over the last 25 days. Our annual Scholastic Book Fair will be held in the library on December 9th to 13th. Our Lions are practicing for our annual winter program on December 19th at 8:30 a.m. Our amazing Lions students and staff would like to wish Bassett Unified School District and our amazing Bassett community a happy holiday. Sunkiss is happy to announce we are busy preparing and rehearsing for our upcoming holiday program on December 19th. It is exciting to see all the students getting ready to show the best for our families. This was a wonderful time of the year to think about the fortune we have with our families and our health. We're also excited that our ASB is up and running. I'd like to take a moment to shout out our awesome ASB board and student leaders. We have a strong and mighty group of students who are forward thinking and making Sunkiss the best place to be, and prepare our young leaders for more leadership in high school and middle school. Our students are gearing up for the second iReady diagnostic. We are excited to see the growth they will show and look forward to celebrating these accomplishments in January when we return from our winter vacation. Our Trojans have had an incredible month filled with hard work, growth, and exciting opportunities. As they continue to strive towards their academic goals, our students are currently diving into the second benchmark testing and gearing up for the iReady assessments in January. Their dedication and their studies is truly commendable, and we're excited to see all their efforts pay off. In addition to their academic achievements, our Trojans have had multiple chances to engage in enriching school events this month. One of the highlights was our college information night held on November 21st. During this event, our students and families had the privilege of hearing from a keynote speaker for Aviation for Kids, who shared valuable insights in the many opportunities in the field of aviation. This event also featured representatives from a variety of universities, college, and career fields, who provided important resources and information to help students explore their future educational and career paths. It was a highly successful evening with both students and families leaving the Watanabe Center inspired and equipped with new knowledge about their potential futures. Another standout event this month was our Torch Winter Band performance, an unforgettable evening that showcased the incredible talent and hard work of our Trojan students. Under direction of our band director, Mr. Almgren, the performance was nothing short of spectacular. The passion and energy the students brought to the stage filled the room, leaving families in the wider community in awe of their dedication and love for music. The performance was a true celebration of the arts and spirit of our Trojans. Looking ahead, next week our students will participate in the PBIS Celebration in Spirit Week, a special event dedicated to recognizing and celebrating the positive behaviors that make our campus such a vibrant and respectful place to learn. This celebration is just one more way we acknowledge the efforts and contributions of our amazing Trojans, and we can't wait to see even more growth and success as the school year continues. It's been a month full of accomplishments, and we couldn't be prouder of our Trojans. Greetings from Bassett High School. Our Bassett High School band will be hosting its annual winter concert on December 18th. We are so excited to support our students. It's a Bassett High School celebrated tradition and will also be a great end of semester one. Our band students have been working hard and performing in parades and field shows. We're excited to host our activities Winter Festival on December 13th. Our high school ASB will host its annual fundraiser for clubs with food offerings, games, and prizes. In the area of athletics, our Olympians have been working hard. Boys and girls basketball and soccer have begun their seasons and are looking forward to competitive contests. Boys and girls wrestling are preparing for the first tournaments coming up. We're grateful for the support from MOT and our district leadership with the plan to refurnish our gym floor during winter break. We're looking forward to continued beautification of our high school. FAFSA workshop started last week. This Wednesday, December 11th, we'll have a parent information session. And this Saturday, December 14th, parents can come begin FAFSA with their students from 8 a.m. to noon. We're also proud to announce that 68 students applied to Cal State's and 30 students applied to the University of California. We're also in the midst of private college admissions, and some students are already receiving acceptance letters. We're excited for all of our college-going students. Finals next week are on the 19th and 20th, and we're ending the semester strong. The Olympian family would like to wish everyone a safe and joyous holiday season. Nova Vista, on November 17th, students visited Mount SAC and toured the welding, HVAC, and aircraft departments. Our dual enrollment students will be able to visit Mount SAC this month for financial aid presentation and obtain their Mount SAC school ID, giving them a variety of resources at hand. Students are finishing up their first dual enrollment courses, and they're signing up for their upcoming spring course. Our student leadership hosted a Thanksgiving potluck where students shared lunch and participated in activities. Students are finishing up the last couple of weeks in the second quarter. In HVAC class, students have been working on heaters and air conditioning units, while in medical class, students have been learning how to write prescriptions. Ultimed presented the importance of dental care to the students and will follow up with free dental checkups for our students via a mobile service. Thank you to the health services for setting up this opportunity, and great things are happening at Nova Vista High School.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will move on to public comments related to closed session. I have no comments related to closed session. And there are no comments, no public comments related to open session. So y'all don't have to hear me read that whole big long thing. But our superintendent does have comments.
Thank you very much, Board President, members of the board community here online. Just a few things, because I will say some of my comments for next week as well. But to begin with, I just wanted to thank the board, our attendance at the CSBA. I know there's a lot of workshops that you attended, a lot of networking. I know I'm sure there's some things you may have seen that were great you want to look at bringing to school. So feel free to reach out to meet with me and we can go over that and maybe meet with Ed Services or over and see how that aligns with our strategic plan. I do kind of reiterate some of the upcoming events at the schools. As Ms. Jaramillo kind of mentioned, we do have, let me see, tomorrow, Edgewood Academy, their holiday performance at 6 p.m. We have tomorrow at 8:15 and 9:30 a.m. Van Wig Puppetry Show. And then they're also having their Christmas boutique at 3:30 p.m. at Van Wig tomorrow. And then next week, December 18th, the Bassett High School holiday performance. December 19th in the morning, Sunkist Elementary having theirs at 8:30 and 9:45, as well as Don Julian at 8:30. And then after that, we'll be on winter break for 3 weeks. So I just kind of want to thank everybody. And like I said, I'll save most of my comments for next week since we'll be here again on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Alvarez. Board Member Stanzioni?
Good evening. As much as I wish I could attend, especially the puppetry show, I'm in my classroom teaching still. For those things that happen during the day. I'd like to give a big shout out and thank you to all who were able to come out with the turkey and Thanksgiving distribution. There were some challenges, but families were very happy and grateful. And seeing their faces made it all worth it. Although I wish I'd gotten a picture of this one schlepping turkeys. It was awesome. It just brought it all into reality. So kind. But you'll hear more about this in January. The annual school board conferences that Dr. Alvarez mentioned yielded some confirming information that was to a veteran educator, there's little new on the horizon, so to hear something new was interesting. Except for the controversial use of AI in the classroom, and you're all going to hear about this. While it makes things easier for both the teachers and the students, the question is big, does it support problem solving and critical thinking and development? And that's something that I look forward to see in the future as to how that develops. And he mentioned networking with people and bringing in programs, and some of you might know that I'm recommitting or I'm committed to bringing vocational education to our district, not just at the high school, but possibly through pathways. And we're doing it at Nueva Vista. Perhaps we can enlarge that through our high school, through the adult school. And as most of us know, the vocational trades are necessary to society. The electricians and plumbers make more than college education veteran teachers. And an apprentice pipe fitter can make as much as a brand new teacher. And they can learn at our school, at our adult school. And not everybody has to or should go to college at this point. And I say that because I quote the most notable Michael Keku, the world's famous astrophysicist, that says, well, we need geniuses and we need technology. We need the people that form the structure of our community. And without them, like our CSAA partners, they are the skeleton of our whole society. Without them, we couldn't survive. So I'd like to see discussions begin in possibly bringing ROTC to campus. At other conferences, they would tell me that, no, your campus is too small. The recruiter told me, no, it was not a problem here. That he'd be interested and anxious to come and talk to Dr. Alvarez. So hopefully we can have that happen. During the time of our conference, we got to make the trip back up here for the La Puente Parade. It was really fun. In the crowds, I saw past and present students, past and present and current instructional assistants, and beloved friends and more. So it made it all worth it, screaming Merry Christmas to everybody. And no, I'm not throwing candy. He said not to, so I didn't. I just followed the rules. But in this time of fear and change, there is hope. So Merry Christmas to all. Happy Kwanzaa, that celebrates family and community. That's awesome. Happy Hanukkah, commemorating the festival or the miracle of the lights, which I think is outstandingly beautiful. Las Posadas, to our Buddhist friends, Bahi, celebrating Siddhartha's enlightenment, which is, if you don't know it, read about it. It is moving. And happy holidays to all, but most important, be safe and be kind. Thank you.
Thank you, board member.
Yes, good evening. First and foremost, I'd like to thank St. Louis of France Church for including Bassett District families in their turkey giveaway. We were able to give 45 families without repeating the list. We had some repeats, but they got theirs from here. So we added more others. So they had a very good, good sized turkey and all the fixings for the turkey, plus cake mixes for them to make cakes or bread, whatever they wanted to make. So it was very good. And then we had a lot of time, good time passing it out. It was a drive-by, came in, put in their thing, and they left. Very happy. So it was a nice event. I also attended the coffee with the principal at the high school, and I was very impressed and surprised to see that there is so much parent involvement now. Going to the meetings with them and trying to get involved. They're having a fundraiser they make food every so often for the teachers, and they sell it as a fundraiser, PTA. And everybody's raising their hand, what can you bring? Or I'll bring this, I'll bring that. It was very nice to see. It reminded me of the old times when we had all the PTAs and local PTAs and really helping out, volunteer. We didn't have to pull teeth out to get things done. They were very happy to volunteer and to help. Not just setting up, but to stay and clean. So it was, I was very happy to see that they had, that. And then I also attended the Torch College Career Fair. And I was very impressed with their aviation department. I was able to see the video that they had set, and there's one student, they're also doing it at the high school. And there's one student that is taking flying lessons. And it's just some hours away from getting his license pilot. They're just waiting for him to turn at least 17 to be able to get the license pilot. And he's all set, and the kids were so excited to show, oh, there I am, look at the video, and they're so excited to show me the program and all that. And it was very nice to see the adults were there also representing child development. There were quite a few people there. They also have LA Public Works there giving us the go ahead, and we're trying to do something on our DILA to put either lights or bumps or something to kind of curtail the speeding right there on our DILA in front, especially in front of the high school. So they're doing a study now, and then we'll see what becomes of that after the holidays, because it's not an overnight thing. It takes quite a while. I also attended the conference, and I met with a lot of the unions and apprenticeship that offer apprenticeship, and would like to come and speak to some of our students regarding steel workers, apprenticeship programs, carpenters, the BRE.
BEW,
Yeah.
IEW.
Yeah, they're all willing and able to come to speak, even to the elementary. It doesn't have to be the high school or Nueva that have already, but junior high, elementary, to get them started, to thinking of what they could start on. So that's a very good program to get into. I know one of my neighbors started as an apprentice in the Steelworkers Union. And as he got in the union and started working, he decided to go to college to get a further education. So it's a good way to, a path to go if they want to get higher education or if they just want to do that. That's a good thing. So it was fun to do that. And that's it. We'll see you next Tuesday. We'll see you next Tuesday. So hope you're all here. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Rivera. Board Member Simonton.
Thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to wish hopefully everyone had a nice Thanksgiving holiday. Really enjoyed the opportunity to help out the week prior to the days prior to Thanksgiving. I heard there was a little bit of an issue with the delivery that I don't think was any of our control here at the site. It was just really the supplier. But just a lot of appreciation to, the student services staff, to the liaisons who were working there from all inside to stop by. My first time in the warehouse, but that was nice. First time dealing with it was a lot with frozen turkeys and everything, and just getting wet and smelling like dead bird. But it was nice just to see families. There was a few folks who I recognized. My high school friends are parents now. It's fun. So it's happy to see them. So that was a nice holiday little engagement. And then of course, last Friday, I'm very thankful for the city's of La Puente's invite to join at the holiday parade. First one that I was able to attend, they usually conflict with the annual conference with CSBA, but since this year it was local, I was able to stop by. Much appreciation to, the MOT drivers for being such good sports with all of us here. Interesting experience. Don't know if I like the hand waving and everything. That was just too much for me. I'm too much of an introvert, but that was a bucket list checked off. But it was nice to be right in front of the band. I think our Bassett High School march band, they were the first live student performance of the evening. So thank you to the band for the great job there. It was nice. It was also nice just to connect with, the other educators. There was representatives from Hacienda La Puente and Mount Sac. So we had a little quick group photo impromptu. So that was good. Basically all of last week, I was in Anaheim for CSBA, arrived early for the delegate assembly. I was moved at one point by the executive director. We made a comment relative to the state's inaction, I would suppose, with the public education. I already forget the exact words, but he was referencing the extraordinary session that's currently convened in Sacramento. anticipation of a second Trump presidency. And, the governor has called extraordinary session in the past before, if it was, retail theft, if it was gas prices. But we haven't called an extraordinary session on, the literacy gap. And that just kind of put it into another perspective of this is something that's persistent, it's not going away. And we still don't have that energetic, urgent response at the state level. So that just kind of renewed my, push for it. And I'm looking forward to connect with our local legislators at the state level to make that a priority. Bassett, we're split in half at the assembly level. One of our members, north of Amar, Miss Rubio, she is a former school board member. But we still have Ms. Calderon. To the south of Amar, we have Senator Bob Archuleta. We have our new Congress member-elect, Cisneros. So I'm hoping we have the opportunity to connect with them to make public education in the forefront, not when it's just politically exciting, but every day, that's something that moved me last week. And then, of course, with the conference itself proper, a great time to network, to learn a bit more. A lot of stuff when it comes down to attendance and achievement and equity. Those were some of the big things that I saw. So I will definitely go to the superintendent and see however we could potentially fit those pieces in if they match with our strategic plan. College, how fun and exciting for our students who have, hopefully completed their applications. There's probably a few privates that they're still open. I know the CSUs by campus, they've extended their applications. So if you were thinking to apply to a CSU and you missed it, just check, they may have extended it. Really hopeful that our staff, our guidance teams have a lot of luck with FAFSA this year. I know last year with the rollout at the federal level, there was a lot of hiccups. So, hopefully it's not that difficult this year. But one thing that was super concerning, and I don't know how to address this, and this is just me kind of venting at this point, but I saw, I think it was the California Student Aid Commission, a representative from there, basically cryptically saying to students, make a considered decision if you want to apply for FAFSA or not, if they're undocumented. Federal law, prohibits the student aid authorities at the federal level from using personal information other than to determine if you're eligible. But who knows if presidents even follow federal law anymore? So at that point, it really is a concern for our undocumented students. Do you want to get the student aid that you're eligible for under law, but risk, exposing, yourself or your family? That's a reality that I think it's scary to articulate. It may not hopefully impact a lot of students, but for those who it does, it's still a terrifying concern. So I think if we could have some honest and intentional counseling to those students who, it may be applicable to, just so they're aware of their options. If it's the California Dream Act, if there's any more, state aid that we could offer them, if it's grants or scholarships, so that way they don't have to constantly rely on, federal aid. But that's just something that is reality, unfortunately. I think it's important that we make that known and we work with those students directly. That being said, just switching it to something lighter, because that's really heavy, is just a ghost shout out to these students who I have no idea who they were, and I probably never will. It was open house. So earlier this year, back in whenever that was, March, April. I guess baby face in the suit. So some kids approached me and they're like, "Hey, do you work here?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I had no other indication that I worked here or not. And they take me to their playgrounds and they kind of, let me know, hey, they need some love, etc. And just that very casual student advocacy that I don't think they probably just thought, just venting, let's see what we could get. And I'm very happy that tonight, we're seeing these agenda items for playgrounds, specifically at Van Wyck and Sunkist. I think it's just a beautiful testament to, we being a community and us looking out for each other. And just the intentional improvements we're making to our schools, it's not just those two sites, but, Don Julian and Edgewood, they're getting the new fields. We're having hopefully a gym if that ever happens, or gym AC at the high school, but they're getting a pool themselves at the aquatic center. Definitely, I think Nova Vista and Torch are overdue for some love potentially in the coming months. But that was just something I want to give a go shout out to those kids, because I, don't remember exactly what their faces were. I didn't catch names. It wasn't like, "Oh, hi, I'm board member Aaron." That was just like, "Yeah, I work here. Take me to your playground. Show me what you want to show me." So whoever they are, I want to say thank you, because you not only made improvement for your classmates, but for the classmates potentially for the next couple of years, because At Sunkist specifically, those playgrounds were installed when I was in first grade and fifth grade, so these playgrounds will hopefully last for the next 20 years, so thank you to those students. With that being said, I will save my happy holidays remarks to next week when we meet for our annual organizational meeting, and with that, good night. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Board Member Smith. Oh, I guess that means me. Okay, so I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. I did get a few pounds, okay. To start off with, I live very close to Edgewood, and it's really nice for me to see all the work that's being done at Edgewood. You know, our groundskeepers are doing a beautiful job there. And I'm sure it's happening at the other ones. As you mentioned, it's happening at the high school too. So that's really exciting, creating an environment where our students can be proud, you know, to be students here at Bassett. I also attended the high school coffee with the principal. And yes, what they've started doing is PTA meetings follow the high school with the principal. I don't think it's every single one, but some. So it makes it really easy since the parents are already there. Very big advocate for PTA because this is where the parents can voice their voice. This is the great opportunity for them to voice their concerns, voice what they would like to see. But it's also, PTA is an opportunity to build community. And that's what we're going to do. What we saw, you know, yes, we do have declining enrollment. We're about what right now, 2,700, or you said? Okay, but I firmly believe, and I've always advocated that our small size is what's going to make us so strong. I have seen this at the games because everybody knows I'm a football fan. So when I go to the games and I see the interaction that students have with the teachers, it's great. It's great. The connection is there and it's so good. And having that place where they can go to is going to be a big plus. So yes, the parent involvement is really growing. I've seen it at the high school. Another one was Sunkist, coffee with the principal at Sunkist. That one was a really good one too. I know that we have several students from Nueva Vista, who are dual enrolled over at Mount Sac. So that's really good. That's great overall. I also, I think you mentioned, Ms. Jaramillo, that Sunkist ASB is set up. So this is really great. And that's another area. Student leadership is really great. That's what I pretty much do. I work at Cal State LA and I work in the student government office, coaching and mentoring and advising student leaders. So that's a big part of what I do. So it's really, I'm very fond of ASB, teaching our students how to be leaders. I also attended the college night at Torch Middle School. Yes, the aviation program is amazing and it was very thorough, very thorough. LA Public Works was there, as was Mount Sac, and I believe, was it Fullerton? Fullerton, okay? And I already scolded LA for not being there. Anyway, so it's really good. LA does do a lot with our STEM program here with the high school. As far as the summer launch programs and things like that. I was not able to make the Torch Winter Concert because I was over at CSBA, which brings me into the next one. CSBA, I went this year. It was really great. I pretty much more focused on education funding. Learned a lot about, and I'm going to be learning a lot about Prop 98. Because there needs to be more advocacy, you know, we have to make sure that that does happen. That is a promise that it was a proposition and it's on there and the state is required to fund education. Now, if they're slipping on their slopes there, here and there, we do have to keep them on their task. So there will be a legislation week in March, which will be virtual. I do plan to attend that. And then there will be the big one over the big conference in April, coast to coast. That will be another one. We need to use our voices, and we also probably even need to empower our students to use their voice out there too. This is their future. To where we say that the trades are great, and that is good. Yes, we do need to support that, but I'm also a big advocate for teaching financial literacy. Financial literacy is very important. Yes, you could do the trades, plumbing, electrician, and HVAC and all that. But sooner or later, the body tells you can't do that. So are you set? Do you have the financial literacy to be able to save, to invest, and do great things? CSBA was, so like I said, I focused mostly on the finance, funding for education and the advocacy. Went to a session on Prop 98, so that was really good. The better thing was CSBA was great network opportunities. Had an opportunity to spend time with our newest board member, Norma Gonzalez, and we had lunch and dinner, so hearing a little bit more about her. So I'm excited and looking forward to working with her. And as my colleague mentioned, we were very fortunate that we were able to just kind of steal away for a couple of hours and come to the holiday parade. So it was really great. I had two students with me, Zoe Herrera and an alumni, Alexis, was there, and they had so much fun. It was great. And yes, I did toss out candies. But you know what? Like we say everything else, the kids just loved it. The little kids were very thankful and everything like that. So that was really good. I also did mention to the city of La Puente that we got to talk about coordinating this because we love doing the parade. Oh, back to the parade real low. I also have to say that I was so excited that our Bassett band opened the parade. That was really good, and we followed that. So that was great. But I did talk to the city of La Puente and I told them, I said, can we kind of coordinate? Because next year this is not going to work. Because I don't know that the district will fly us back from Sacramento and then fly us back to Sacramento. He's laughing already. So anyway, hopefully we can make it work. But this time they said that it just kind of worked out that way because of where Thanksgiving fell. So hopefully I keep that in mind. I also attended the First District PTA luncheon. Again, we have a new council president, Carol Tula, which is going to do great, amazing things. And yes, our PTA is growing. Excited and looking forward to the holiday performances. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make this week's because I am in San Diego. I actually went to a conference in San Diego and they asked me, what campus are you with? I said, I'm with Bassett Unified. Whoa, wait a minute here. I'm sorry, I'm with Cal State LA. So it's like, whoa, that shift is a lot. So all in all, I also know that we will have a meeting next Tuesday. So I will stop right here and continue next Tuesday. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Moving on, we will go to closed session. Can I get a motion to go to closed session? Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Can I get a motion to go to closed session? Moved by Board Member Rivera, second. Board Member Stanzioni. We will go to roll call.
Aye.
Aye. We'll go to closed session at 7:13. Thank you.
I'm holding the chair.
No, the chair.